the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And I feel like we haven't done a retrospect, it seems like, I don't know, like in a month or something like that. I know that's probably not too long to some people, but it feels like we've just been watching new movies. You know, this newfangled stuff with the CG and the 3DI and all that stuff. Grandpa, there's no such thing as 3DI. Oh, there wasn't my day, I tell you what. Back in the day when you saw a 3D movie, they gave you red and blue glasses and you went in there. All sorts of fancy.
And we were grateful, goddammit. It was granted there were red and blue glasses and the TV was black and white, but what the fuck? You just take what you got.
It's okay.
I wasn't a teenage play TV in the theater. Shut the fuck up, you know what I mean?
Your little boy beating? Don't you talk
Now get
back
me
to
your doers.
But we decide that we need to go back in time with a movie that I know that I have always kind of wanted to watch. It's just been one of those ones, especially even since like Django Unchained really makes you want to go and see where this kind of concept came from, and knowing that this is one of these movies that's one of the biggest spaghetti westerns out there. It's like, we got to go back and watch the original 1966 Django movie.
A century ago, on the low hills along the border between the southern states and turbulent Mexico, a mystery man appeared. A man with a sad, impenetrable face.
Django! Django, have you never loved again? Love will live on, oh, life must go on, for you cannot spend your life regretting. Django! Django!
Who was that man? What was his secret?
It's not important. And if I bothered you, will you accept my apology?
He was pitiless in revenge, quick to decide and a master of every weapon. A man everybody would like to have seen dead.
Yeah, his name is Django.
Django, the title of a film you'll never forget. Django.
How many men you got left? You tongue-tied? Or don't want to tell me?
Too bad, Maria. Django, an audacious man of action, capable of a tender, hopeless love which could only last a day, but a day which was worth all eternity.
I'm glad I made you feel like a real woman. Very glad. I mean that.
Django.
Django, a new, ruthless, violent film. Featuring a great new star, Franco Nero, and a great supporting cast.
Sun will be shining. Django, oh, Django, you must go.
Now, thing about this movie, I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I heard the name Django a few times, and even George Lucas used it for Jango Fett for Clone Wars, and Boba Fett was originally, he said, kind of inspired off Man with No Name, so I can see how he made that connection. And for a quick second, if you even look at Franco Nero, for a minute, like, is that Clint Eastwood? Oh, no, it's not for Clint Eastwood. But there's a couple moments where it looks like him for a second. But going off that, though, I assumed, just because of Django Unchained, I assumed Django was just one of these characters. It was just some unlicensed character that you can just do whatever. And I assumed he was just a black cowboy. But then I find out, oh, wait, no. They just happen to have the same name. That's the only thing, really. I mean, Quentin Tarantino makes obvious nods and references in Django Unchained, but the big thing is it's just the name.
Yeah, and this one, it's weird because, like, you look at Franco Nero, and he really does look like he's an American actor brought over to Italy, but it's like, no, he's a pure Italian actor. I mean, obviously, the name gives it away, but if you just take away the name part and just look at him, he just looks like he's, like, Clint Eastwood's, like, doppelganger, like his stuntman or something.
Well, it's got to also be one of those things, like, for a minute I was thinking, like, this movie might be... I mean, I'll say this right off the bat. I really liked this movie. I'm glad we watched it. And this is a movie I was meaning to get around to watching eventually, but just took our time. And then you mentioned we should watch for the podcast. Like, oh, it's a good idea. So I just went into it just like, oh, it'll be probably a fun movie. And then, like, I really liked it. And part of me, we were talking before about, like, how like, dubs of old Chinese and Japanese kung fu movies are kind of rough.
Mm-hmm.
I think, for whatever reason, it's a little more passable in a Western, even if it is kind of cheesy, just because I think it's like they're cowboys, but they were speaking Italian. So I think something about like just having it be an English dub just fits,
Well, and it's like, any old Chinese, Japanese, or Italian movie and a lot of others, they're all shot silent anyways. So technically, even if you get like let's say you get the Italian version of this movie, it's still technically dubbed because they don't get the sound while they're there. And that's the same with like martial arts movies too. All the Chinese movies, they come back in and dub them afterwards. So, and I think it's that kind of thing. It's like, that's one less thing you got to worry about when you're out on set. You know what I mean? You'll get a better sound recording anyways. I mean, even most American movies, at the end of the day, unless it's like a nice, quiet place they probably are like at least 75% still dubbed, oddly enough.
They got a lot more ADR they got to do, unless it's like a soundstage or something like that.
Yeah, unless they got a practical place that they can have everything set up and working perfectly. And maybe not movies like nowadays, but let's just say movies like 30 years ago. Like, I think even still, a lot of movies were kind of shot, for the most part, kind of silent. You know what I mean? Unless it's a talking scene between about two people, most likely the movie's silent and all that stuff's added in later.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's funny that Tarantino chose to make Django Unchained named Django Unchained of all things, because... there had to be some old-timer, like, oh, he's making another Django movie? That'll be great! And then, like, who's playing him? Like, some colored fella is playing Django? No, this is not right.
It's Wild Wild West all over again. I know it!
He said, wiki wiki wow, wiki wiki wow. No, this is bad. That's my rap, Mr. Will Smith. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, I could
this
do
guy
it
watches
too.
a lot of Fox News.
Exactly. Well, you know what the weird thing too is, like, the Django movie, because I've ran across like other Django's over time, and I didn't think there's that many. I'm like, well, maybe there's, like at this time period, maybe there's like 5 of them or something like that. But they said that there's like over 30 like knockoff movies where they just use the name Django in there.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that like Franco Nero was in like a German movie, they just slapped Django on it just because they're like, oh, that movie did so well. Put the Django on it. And just like call it good. I always love it. Like, Europeans just get a bunch of different way of like promoting stuff. Like, I like how when this movie came out in Japan, well, this is not like European, but like, I just think of like Asia, Europe, and all that stuff. Like, they feel like they can almost get away with kind of like advertising movies that have nothing to do with another one. Like, well, I'll use the Italian one, for example. When Dawn of the Dead came out, that movie did really well in Italy as well, too. So when they made Zombie, they're just like, we'll just call it Dawn of the Dead 2. Why not? Well, it's not the same movie. Nope, got zombies in it. Practically the same thing. Sell it that way.
Good enough. Yeah.
And it's like in Django in Japan, they just build it as like a fistful of dollars, too. Probably they were surprised when there was a sequel to it. They're like, oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Is that the one, because I'm not going to lie, I did not do as much research for this as I probably should have. Is that the one where it's like a... He goes to I think Hungary, and he's like there's like a steam powered boat or something like that, or is that like one of the knockoff ones? Because there's one, Django 2 Strikes Back, Strikes Again.
That's the only official one, and that's got Franco Nero in it, and it's still got the same director too, I think, or at least he's the writer on it for Sergio Corbucci. That's the only official one, and they apparently have one in the works right now for a Django 3. So it's supposed to be 50 years later past the first one.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this one came out in 1987, so that was some time later. Okay. Well, this one, if you just looked at the poster of this, it looks more like Mad Max than a Western. So I'm and it has a significant. This is on IMDb, not Rotten Tomatoes, so it's a little bit more, I think, closer. But it has a significantly lower score. It's like 5.5 out of 10, where the other one I think it's like 8 or something. So
well, a 5.5 on IMDb is actually still pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, there's a bunch of other Djangos out there I'm seeing, but at the same time, though, it's just... I guess this is why I assume this was just some character that was, like, had public domain, that people do whatever they want with him, and I just assumed... I never really actually saw any pictures of him. I just heard the name around a couple of Italian movies called Django, and I assumed he was a black guy, because Quentin Tarantino made him black, but I think he just took the name, and then he took the theme song, realizing, oh, well, you know what? It really does... This theme song fits my movie just as good.
Yeah, and that theme song's amazing. That Django song is like... I could throw that on at any point and it just puts you in a great mood. Even though it's like a kind of... The lyrics are kind of sad because it's more about like, Django's lost it all and he's still going on. But it's just got this very like... Just the singing of it just so powerful. It just makes you feel like, yes, we got to go questing.
Well, as it's opening up, you're just like, oh shit, there's the song. All right, yeah. Not even that. You could also see earlier stuff. I'm not going to say... Tarantino, obviously, he's not the first guy to make someone cut off an ear in a movie. Obviously not. But at the same time, you could see other inspirations of his... you can see how this movie inspired, like, Reservoir Dogs and other things he's done. So...
Plus, in this one, they feed the ear to the guy.
Yeah.
I thought that was more ballsy part of it all. It's like, oh, crap, there they go.
That was pretty metal. And there's parts in this, because it does the whole, like, 60s thing where... And I understand, you know, it was filmmaking back then. When people get mowed down with a gun, they're just like, they fall over. But then you get the occasional, like, close-up where they slam their chest, and they must have like a little, like, balloon of something, or a little condom full of, like, ketchup or whatever, so it sprayed blood when they slap their chest or whatever. So you get that, but you get it. It was for the times.
Well, yeah, but even so, they still got some pretty violent moments. There's that part where, like, there's the, like, the kind of, like, the Confederate soldiers, or I guess the ex-Confederates guys running around, and they have this part where they just literally, like, they're playing, like, clay pigeons, but without clay pigeons, they're just using Mexicans, and they're like, run! And the guy just starts running and booking it as fast as he can, and then he pulls his rifle up and goes, wait for it, and then shoots him. And there's one guy that he shoots, and then when the guy rolls back over, it's like his whole back of his head's almost like blown out. I was like, oh, that's pretty... Yeah. For 1966, that's extraordinarily violent, or at least for... Well, and this movie is one of those ones where it got, like, banned in many places for being too violent.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. So I guess we should break it down beat for beat for what happens through the movie. So essentially, I mean, I guess this maybe came first. What came first? This or Fistful of Dollars?
Fistful of Dollars came first, and that one was, I think, 1964. And I think from that point on, that kind of like spawned like the big spaghetti western boom. So this was like kind of like next to jump on that. Oops. Skype crashed. There's one point where it wanted me to update it, and then for some reason it never did, so... Well, it's not the internet crashed, Skype crashed.
Lost it for a minute.
Oh, the old Skype crashed. Whoops. There's my video. I don't know if your video's off, just letting you know.
Yeah, I turned it off. I think it was slowing it down, possibly.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Because mine was literally Skype crashed. It had nothing to do with the internet.
Oh, okay. Anyway. So,
But, yeah, Fistful of Dollars came first in I want to say that movie's 1964. Could be 63, but I think it's 64. And from there, it kind of spawned that spaghetti western, like, blowout where everybody was making them. So I think Django is literally next in line to become one of the big movies in that kind of genre. Really doing the same, like, the core story similar to, like, Fistful of Dollars, which is the Yojimbo story, you know, from Akira Kurosawa. So it's going on that, but I feel like it does, like, completely its own thing at the same time.
Well, it does the whole thing where there's two rivaling clans, and a stranger from out of town comes in and kind of plays both sides for a minute. He doesn't really play both sides in this one. He's more of like trying to... Because what happens in Fistful of Dollars, he's kind of playing both sides. Kind of like, I'll help you guys, and go behind their back and screw these guys over. He kind of does that back and forth, and then they both catch on to him. And he just makes it worse, and then there's the stand down he has with all of them at the end. This one, it's kind of that same concept, but things go a little differently.
And then there's also three sides, too, because there's, like, the Banditos, there's the Confederates, and then there's the Mexican army.
Yeah. So, this right here, I guess, because there's the Mexican army, that's right, I forgot about the Mexican army, because they kind of screw those guys over. So, that whole aspect right there, it's almost more like you do have kind of lesser villains. Some villains take a bigger grand stage more than others. That being said, though, it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, just because that guy's done, don't forget about this guy over here who's going to kind of come in and be the... Because that surprised me, because they kind of clear out the southern villain, the southern general guy out of the way pretty quickly. Then he comes back later. I'm like, oh, okay, so he is going to be the final showdown. So it's kind of interesting the placement they have of that.
Yeah, well, because at first it's just like, well, the movie just starts off, you got Django with the theme song, dragging the coffin, and just like, this is what he is. And it's like, I kind of like how they don't, for a while there, they don't let you know, like, what's in this coffin. He's just carrying this thing around. You kind of know from the theme that his wife's dead and so on. And then he comes across a lady that's being tortured by the Bandito guys and so on. And at first, I like it. The way it kind of plays, too, is you think that, like, oh, Django saved her. And then it's like, nope, it was the Confederate guys, came in, not really technically to save her, but just at least for the moment. And then Django comes in and kills them all from there. And he's just like the quickest draw known to mankind on the gun. And she sort of latches on to him being like, well, this is the one guy who's not going to whip me or try to rape me. So I guess that's the best choice. When you're out in the West, that's just kind of how life is. Sort of like what I learned from the movie Hostiles. It was like, pretty much, if you see somebody out in the Western time periods, when you're out there, it's never good. It's never good to run into anybody else out in the middle of, like, the frontier. There is just rape and murder around the corner everywhere.
Around every tree and bush.
You're either going to get raped, robbed, or murdered. Maybe all three.
Maybe not always in that order, too.
Yeah, yeah, you don't know what order you're going to get to. That's the scary part. It's just never knowing what to expect.
So he saves her, and he's dragging this coffin around with him, and he kills like this group of some Mexican guys and banditos are gonna kill this lady. They whip her a few times, and then, like you said, some Confederates come in, or some old out. They're no longer. They're rogue. They're rogue basically. The war's over, and I forgot to mention he's walking around in his Union outfit still, and so they don't like that too much. But after that happens, he wipes these guys out, takes the girl back to town where she's from, and they're telling the girl, like, oh, you shouldn't have gone to that Mexican group. You should have stayed here where it's safe and this and that. Sure, they're bad too, but or at least they're a little safer. We're protected over here. And oh, they're coming into town, so they're not going to like to see that you're back. And that's where I just like Django has this thing. Because here's the thing about the big difference between Man with No Name and Django. I think Django has a little bit more character development that happens, but Man with No Name, it's kind of a weirder situation with him, because Django, I'm not sure if you can entirely call him really a great guy. He's more of a guy where things kind of fall into his favor, where Man with No Name, whether you agree with this or not, I think he mostly is a good guy. He just does things he just does them a very shady way, because we can't forget, one of the things he does in Fistful of Dollars, he acts like he doesn't give a shit. But the first thing he does, once he has all the money, after he punches a lady in the face, he's like, sorry I punched you in the face earlier. It was just so you wouldn't open your big fucking lady mouth and bring all the attention over here. So here's some money. Get the fuck out. So it's like, he gave him all the money. He gave him a bunch of money that he had. He didn't have to do that. So you could say that, that's one of those things right there where I think where Django, he's more of just kind of like, he just kind of falls into a situation. Like, but Django, I love you. Well, all right. Let's see how this goes. I'll be back.
I can never love again. I loved once. It failed on me. What makes you think you're going to work?
She fell in the quicksand.
Everything falls in the quicksand. That's why I keep
Coffin
coming back to
goes.
this bridge.
The coffin, not again!
I know that part too. It's like, because that just reminded me, like, it was almost one of those parts. It's like, that is so how it would go in real life. Is it fucking the horse would jump and knock the coffin into the fucking quicksand, and then like it would be nothing like very like epic or anything like that. It would just be like, shit, no! It's like when you lose a basketball down like the hill. I mean, I know it's a little bit more than that, but you know when you watch it just go and there's it's not coming back. It's just gonna keep going, bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and it's gone from this point on. That was what that moment was for him. I'm trying to explain like in a 90s kid sort of style that we could relate.
Let's say it was it was your favorite like dodgeball with like a Power Rangers emblem on it.
Yeah.
Bring it back in 90s talk. No, but like it was because the thing is, we forget to mention, like, they do that near the quicksand. I want to say he shoots one of the guys and they fall into the quicksand or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the girl, so like then you see something sink in the quicksand, and you're just like, I wonder if that's going to come back. Which, I'll be honest, this might sound kind of dumb. I know there's marshes, but is there... I don't know there's quicksand in America. I mean, I know there's marshes, and if you're,
Well, it's one of those ones, I'll say this, because remember, it's an Italian movie, so they probably don't know the same thing, too. They go, well, we have one of these here in Italy. Why would America not have one? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't see quicksand used in movies anymore. There's this period where it was always like, not the quicksand! Now it's like, what the fuck is quicksand?
Well, I feel like there was a time period where that was like a fear of life, was quicksand. You gotta be careful that you never know when you're gonna run around the corner and quicksand will be there. And it used to happen a lot in older movies, and especially older cartoons and so on. And as I said, like, you brought that up. It's like, it's never been used anymore, it seems like. It's like, that needs to be brought back again as quicksand, because quicksand still possesses a danger. You know what I mean? It's out there. You know what I mean? It's not Thanos, it's quicksand.
Chris O'Neill, Oni-OG or whatever his name is, the guy who, he does some of those he's popular for a bunch of Newgrounds cartoons. This is on Let's Play channel. And he's a member of Sleepycast. I think it was him, maybe it was somebody else. But they were talking about how in Ireland, schools would sometimes have educational, like, quicksand awareness videos. Like, careful when you're playing out there, children. You just might fall into quicksand.
And that's the thing. I wouldn't think of Ireland having a bunch of quicksand around either.
Neither would I, but apparently they did. So or maybe parts of it. I don't know. I know there's marshes where you can just, forget. I don't know. Never really we're getting off topic. But anyway, fucking quicksand's there. So, like, I wonder if that's going to come back anyway. And then he goes back, and he's just kind of hanging out with, all the hookers are all over him. Like, oh, he saved her. Oh, he's so handsome. And he's just like playing the tall, dark stranger guy. There's like this shambling, nervous, shady-looking, weaselly priest. Like, whoa, she's back. I don't like it when the vagina comes back to town. It makes me nervous. It's gonna kill us all.
I'm trying to get this town to be a giant sausage fest, and you guys are all ruining it.
You're ruining the party.
You damn hoochies. It's just gonna be me, Jesus, and Dick.
Well, how many other people are in town? That's one of those things. Like, you're gonna ruin this town. I'm like, all right, who's here? There's you. There's the bartender / hotel owner / pimp, and then there's the four hookers that all kind of hang out there.
This is all a town, because clearly I've not seen anything else open there. And also, as I gotta say this too, I've never seen a movie with that much, like, mud just in its, like, main streets. It's just like, there is just mud galore outside, and it looks like it never dries up.
Here's a thought process, and I don't know, I haven't looked anything up into this. He's always dragging that coffin with him. I wonder if one of the reasons why they had so much mud, so it'd be easier to drag that coffin.
I guess, but when you're filming, you just take the stuff out of it and just drag it empty, and it can't be that big of a deal.
I know he's not walking around with a machine gun in there the whole time. I know that, but I'm just saying maybe it's more slick, so it's easier just to glide through or something like that. Just an idea. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it was more just for, like, a look, because it's kind of weird. And the other thing about this movie too, this is kind of the weird thing, is the way that this movie's shot. Now, I don't know if that's just kind of from, like, a Blu-ray kind of take, because we watched it on a digital copy or whatnot. Because I know they did a nice, like, retransfer of it. But this movie is, like, crystal fucking clear. And it has, like, no scratches, no dings. Like, either somebody kept this, like, film in, like, the most pristine copy known to mankind, or somebody worked really fucking hard making it look that way. but it's weird because it does not look like an old movie whatsoever. I mean, you can tell it's an old movie, but it's like really clear. And there's some shots in this movie that have like, you'll have like a really close object and a really far away object, and they're both like totally like in focus each, which feels like, that gives it that look of like almost like a video camera, but you know it's a probably a 16 millimeter or something like that, maybe a 35 millimeter over there in Italy, you never know. But it's amazing how good this movie looks. I mean, it looks better than like the Man of No Name trilogy combined, like just quality wise, or at least the MGM DVDs I have don't look nearly as good as this one. I'll tell you that.
Well, this movie right here was just one of those movies as I was watching it. I mean, I was already interested in seeing it, but I'm a little mad at myself I didn't see it sooner, because the way how I even got into westerns was just kind of really random. I got into Quentin Tarantino, and then I saw A Fistful of Dollars for like $3 at the used video game store, which also sold used DVDs. Like, oh, why not? I know Quentin Tarantino likes this movie, and I love Kill Bill. Let's give this a shot. And sure enough, that's what got me started. So it fitted that was the first one I saw of all of them.
It's like the gateway one. More gateway than you can get, pretty much.
Very much a gateway drug, and it just got me into westerns. And, I was already I already liked westerns, but I was more like, let me see where this goes. And I know if I saw this one at around that same time, this would have been instantly one of my favorites as well. So I'm a little mad at myself I didn't see it sooner, but at the same time, I'm glad I just saw it, because plus I actually didn't know he's going to pull a machine gun out of there. Now, it's one of those things. You see this dude dragging this coffin around. Not only did you see inspired, Quentin Tarantino and people like Robert Rodriguez or even Terminator 3,
Yeah, exactly. That was the first thing I thought when that happened. I was like, oh my god, Terminator 3.
Well, it was like, you see that he also, like, a bunch of anime saw this and got inspired. Because a very obvious one is Cowboy Bebop. Well, Trigun, definitely Trigun. I was going to mention that one. I was going to say Cowboy Bebop, because there's the Blaxploitation episode, which has a couple of, like, Western references within it as well.
Is that the one where they do drugs?
Where they do drugs, yeah. There's the black dude who's chugging who's going after the mushroom dealer, and he's dragging a coffin behind him. He's like, I bring this coffin with me so I can put you in it. That coffin right there. Then a semi comes by, runs it over.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that part.
And then Trigun, because there's the dude Wolfwood who walks around with a big old cross, and it's not a coffin, but it's still kind of similar imagery. It's a big old machine gun once he takes all the sheets off it. And then you got Gungrave, which is it was originally, I think, a video game, like a cheap Sega video game, but then they made an anime out of it, which kind of expanded on the lore and all that. Mm-hmm. And the guy had like a machine, he had a coffin there was a machine gun, and also had guns inside of it or something crazy like that. So you can see how this movie even inspired a lot of Japanese stuff.
Well, the weird thing too is just in watching it, even though it's a 1966 movie, it has like such an anime feel to it, though. Oddly enough, it's like that weird thing where it's like there's no way that anybody was going for that at the time, because there's really no such thing as anime at that period. But the idea that it's just there, it's just like, oh my gosh, 60 years later, and it feels very like relevant almost, or it feels almost even just where like a lot of 90s kind of anime in early 2000s has that feel. Like, this is one of those ones, like, okay, let's just say if you just brought this movie to somebody, you didn't really tell them what year it was, didn't tell them anything like this, and you just said, hey, this is based off a manga, you could probably be like, okay, I can get that. You know what I mean? If somebody said that, you'd be like, well, you wouldn't really deny it, you know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, okay.
Well, even like the villain, the Southern guys, the old Confederate guys, they even have sort of like for the time, a very the over-top thing. I mean, chances are they're probably trying to make them look like Ku Klux Klan members to some extent. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, they're just more visually interesting because they had the red hoods and they always had the scarves, and they kind of connected to the outfit in some aspects. And it was one of those things where something about the way they looked, I mean, they could have just got lazy with it and just threw like a white sack over their head. But something about it, they actually made them look a little bit more scared. They made them look more like a death cult of some kind, rather than like a bunch of like good old like yeehaw redneck boys.
Well, no, I thought that look was really awesome, and I did actually read something that the reason they said that is because they could take a lot of their extras from like the Banditos and the Mexican gang and just cover them up and use them twice over for having the red hoods. But it makes for a very interesting look, and I think that's also another thing that kind of brings it up is like that gives it sort of its like almost like a comic book feel, just because you got these characters. Like, no way that somebody would go, a bunch of guys would be probably walking around in total red, because it makes them easy to see. But for a story wise, that made it just have this really cool look and everything like that.
Mm-hmm. And like even like the villain, like even though he's kind of like a smarmy, kind of like, well, listen here, this is how it's gonna be. We're a bunch of good old Christian boys running a good old Christian society, so we don't need no one with a better tan than me around here. You have that guy. Then you have the Mexican general guy, who's essentially, he's kind of like a little bit more of like an over the top Tuco, Eli Wallach's character from Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he kind of is like an extreme version of that.
Actually, that's not actually as good of an example. Another character Eli Wallach played, the bandit from it's another really big Western. Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
Because he was the villain of that. So it's even kind of more that kind of character. But he's a general he's like a rogue general that's trying to take over Mexico. And it's one of those things where it's just like, it starts off as a pissing contest between these Union guys and this group of Mexican banditos. But you find out it's like, no, the fate of Mexico rests in our hands. We will take it back.
Yeah, they're very into like their kind of pride there. And just Django is just along for the ride, just... He's sort of, because you don't really know what sides he stands on as the movie goes on. I think, and that's almost like the kind of the credit I give, is it like it's really good at like trying to figure out Django's character as he sort of progresses through this, and that's where I almost feel like he's got that kind of depth sometimes that maybe I guess some people might say is missing in certain westerns. As I think Django is like a very defined character. He's got more reasons and all that stuff. Not that I feel you always need that, but that's there for the people who do want that, and it's just kind of interesting to watch his progression. And what I do like is like Django, he's one of those guys, even though he could pretty much kill every single person in the room, he likes almost like the game part of it all. Because when like the Confederate guy, you learn that like that guy's the one who's killed his wife and threw her in the quicksand or whatever happened, because we don't really get a flashback. But like assuming that's kind of what happened, because it happened on that bridge, because that bridge is really involved. Because I remember when the girl goes, like, don't cross the bridge. Get it like his non-flashbacks of that bridge.
And she just slowly sinks down. Like, in that time I could have probably just like go through a rope, but I just got so caught up in the moment.
What happened is that the Confederate guy was on the other side. He was shaking the bridge like an asshole, and she slipped and fell.
That's all it took. He's like, ah! Like ran off behind a bush.
Yeah, he just escaped like Snively Whiplash and was out of there. Damn it.
And suddenly, like an old, like steam-powered Zeppelin goes by.
He's like flying away on like a ladder hanging down from it. But no, it's like there's a part where he's in the bar and everything like that, and he shows up and everything like that, and the Confederate guys try to go to make the move on him, and then like Django takes him out like really awesome, like in 6 shots, just like flipping the gun around all over the place, bam, 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 and they're all dead except for of course the leader guy. He's like, how many more men you got? Got 48 more men. We'll could bring them back. We'll finish this the right way. And that's almost where it feels very anime-ish too. Just like that kind of dialogue where it's just like, no, that's not challenging enough. Bring some more guys in.
Well, and even the aspect when he gets over there, he's just like, there's the guy, the shopkeeper, or the guy.
Poor bastard.
The one time they try to make you, there's no way you could try and sympathize with a pimp in a movie nowadays, but he was the hotel, bar, / pimp.
Probably like mayor, probably everything.
Mayor. Everything just kind of fell upon him,
He probably came to town with like a whole group of people, and then they all abandoned it, and he had to take over every job.
Real estate agent.
Yeah.
That's a really tough one in the place where it's all just mud.
He's like, I just wanted to open a yo-yo shop. That was it. Nothing more, nothing less. And look how I got. Next thing you know, I'm protecting these hoes and running a bar and making dinner and everything like that.
Where's Daddy's money? But Daddy, where's Daddy's money? Come on.
Don't make me have to pimp slap you.
$4, what you got? That's when like Django walks in. He says, "Oh, hey, what's up, man? Want some whiskey?" Now, here's another reason why Django I don't think is good of a guy. Is fucking because once he goes in there, like he's just like, "Okay, yeah, you may have like scared off the general, or the Confederates, but the banditos will be back here. The general, he's gonna come in, he's gonna mess shit up." He's just like, "Oh, don't worry." He comes in, the general comes in. He's just like, "Hey, what's up, General?" It's just like, "Ah, Django, I know you. We're friends. We go way back." And then Actually, what happens is first off they're digging a hole, and that's where his men bump into Django and the guy. I think the guy was Rodrigo. Like he was kind of like his right hand man to the general. Mm-hmm. Slapped him, and he says like, "You're coming with us." And they come back. The banditos are already wrecking hell in this small little town of 5 people, and
I like how like that pimp guy really at the end of the day, or the shopkeeper, or whatever. Really, he does. It's like such a double-edged sword. He really hates all these guys, but at the same time, he realizes that's the only currency coming through it too.
Yeah. He could almost have that whole thing, like he turns the camera, and you hate your job, womp womp womp. Like after they destroy his whole fucking bar.
I know.
Well, here's the thing about that, because they come in like, this is one of the gringos that was there when our guys died or whatever. And he's just like, I know that guy. I love this guy like a brother. He helped me out during the war. He's next in my command. He's part of our group now. And then, Rodrigo don't like that none too much. Like, how you gotta tell me how you brought those guys down? Like, I'll show you how I brought those guys down. Walks over to his coffin. Shopkeeper's like, oh, God, you just saved the town. What are you doing? Just, unloads on the bar. He's like, might want to get out of the fucking way. Just destroy this guy's fucking business.
With a machine gun, too. I mean, I will say, though, when he pulled the machine gun out of the coffin, that was, this comes before this scene. I really didn't expect that, though. I definitely was like, oh, whoa, that is actually way cooler. I did not think that was what... I assumed there was guns in there, but I was not thinking that. I thought he's just going to have, a bunch of rifles or something like that. He's going to switch them back. But instead, when he pulls that out and you got the Confederate guys coming in, he just starts unloading on them with this, Gatling gun. Well, I don't know what kind of Gatling gun it sort of is. I still kind of was questioning it the whole time how it exactly worked for the 1800s, but that's okay.
I could see him just making up their own kind of gun. This probably looks like similar to something that actually existed. Maybe, or maybe it was a totally real gun. I don't know.
Well, I feel like all the Gatling guns I ever saw in the 1800s, you had to crank them. So this one is automatic. So I don't know what was going on there.
Well, when I will be honest, I wasn't expecting that either. I mean, if it was if it was a movie probably from the 80s and up, I would assume, okay, he's got a machine gun in there. But once I saw this, I'm like, oh shit, it is a machine gun. So then I'm like, because I see where a lot of other things pull from right here. But definitely Desperado, definitely some other anime that we mentioned earlier. But once he says, look, we're going to find a way. There's a way we're going to get a bunch of gold. And the Federales, they got some. So if we go over there, we can just fuck their shit up. And he says, hey, he turns to the guy who's like, hey, guy whose establishment I just fucked up. You usually take girls over to the Federales. He's like, yeah, I do when I'm not digging graves for people you kill in town. And
every other job I gotta do.
Yeah, I drive girls over to the Federales, and, I get 5 cents out of it. Okay, well, that's what you're going to do now. I mean, you don't got a fucking choice, because there's 50 of us and one of you, and I got a fucking machine gun, so that's
get
what we're
that
going to do, right?
caravan set up, and let's get on the road.
Yeah, woo! Okay, awesome. I'm so glad I moved to Mudtown. Cool. Then they go there.
It probably was have you ever seen that, what's that movie called? It's an Errol Flynn Western from the 40s. It's the one that, when people kind of used to lampoon sort of Westerns back in the day, because it's kind of it was the gold standard of 1940. Blazing Saddles is pretty much just a spoof of that movie. God, I'm drawing a blank on what it's called right now. But it's got one of the funniest intros, because it's Dodge City, the town, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. It's going to be the most successful place in the world. And they're going to cut the ribbons for the town, and everybody stand there yeah! And then it goes cuts 3 years later, and all it's just a bunch of guys running around shooting guns, carrying women over their shoulders, drinking beer. I laughed so hard at that part. It's just yep, that all went down real quick.
It's the simple editing jokes like that,
Yeah, exactly. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on what that one's called. It's got them the most simplest kind of Western name too. Well, carry on. I'll look it up while you do that.
Gunpowder? I don't know. 6-shooter? I'm just throwing names out there. Anyway, so you see all these Federales just so excited. They just see the caravan, guys, the Pussy-mobile is coming. The Pussy-mobile is coming. We all gotta come.
I love when they turn around, because they just got these big wide smiles, hey.
like fucking Santa Claus just came by, you know? Like, oh my god, dude, it's been like fucking 3 fucking months. Oh my fucking god, bro. You know? So
Okay.
So they're all
really quickly, it's called Dodge City.
Dodge City.
I only mentioned it when I was trying to talk about it. You know, they're in Dodge City. I can't think what the movie's called though, but you know.
Well, Dodge City is in a lot of westerns, so.
But yeah, no, I love it. Like just the rape caravans coming into town and so on. It's just like, you know, that guy's like, gotta dry in here and hopefully nobody messes up my girls too much, or I'm gonna have to get violent on them.
He's like, man, I know what they're planning to do. Hopefully they don't mess up my caravan too. I mean, they already fucked up my bar. So
I mean, last time I only got 4 women, and there's like 100 guys here, so about 60 of them are gonna start fucking the caravan.
They're gonna fuck. Something's getting fucked tonight. That's why I almost gotta kind of like go around the corner and just straight out of visual contact. You're seeing like a bunch of army men, just angry army men with fucking boners. They reach a point where, like they don't even fucking care anymore.
Yeah, I don't care what it is.
You just gotta stay out of both arms and eyes reach.
Sometimes I'll just take
or eyesight and arms reach.
They'll take all the spokes on the wheels there, and just next thing you know, there's a dick in every one.
Airtight. The whole caravan.
It's the desert, so everybody's nice and sweaty. It's okay. It all works. Go back to Mudtown at least, and hopefully somebody just shows up and shoots me at one point, and at least this hellhole of a job can be finally over with.
Chances are, if they went to Mudtown, they'd probably make a mud man and fuck that.
You know how it is being in the military? I was in the military too. We tried to fuck anything. Called the Civil War.
Suddenly you cut to like that scene in fucking The Master when fucking Phoenix is fucking the sand.
I love how I really do not remember that movie. Like I saw it once. It's not that it's like it was good, but it's just one of those ones like I only saw it one time. But I remember that like clear as day.
The thing about it though, because what happens is, you know, they're a bunch of like just, you know, guys on a fucking beach with nothing to do. It's like, check what I made. I made a fucking sand hooker. Yeah, look, I'm pretending to fuck it. Then he gets on it. He's like,
it's like not a joke anymore.
He's pretending like he's gonna fuck it. And then like, he's still going. Oh, okay, guys, we'll go this way. All right, yeah, he's actually. He's holding it, like, tenderly. Then cut to him jerking off into the ocean from a back shot. Like, that reason I like that movie, we'll get back to this in a second. One reason, think about The Master, it seems like a movie where, for lack of a better word, I feel like it was kind of made for me, because it's one of those things where suddenly... Usually make a joke like, oh yeah, this is where he jerks off, this is where he pulls his dick out, or this is where he just starts fighting this guy for no reason. Like, you make a joke like that to your friend. Like, there's some kind of awkward tension between these guys. You're like, oh, he's gonna just start a fight with this fucking guy. They just, oh shit, he actually fucking did it. Like, oh yeah, he's me jerking off in the corner. He's actually jerking off in the corner. I didn't think they'd fucking do it. I was just making a joke.
Yeah, this movie goes the distance. It does it for you. It makes the jokes real.
Yeah, so... I don't know if it's not a movie you can watch all the time, but fuck, I just remember dying of laughter watching that fucking movie. I'm pretty sure Paul Thomas Anderson. There's Paul W.S. Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson. Mm-hmm. Paul Thomas Anderson, I'm pretty sure he's just got a fucked up sense of humor.
I think so, because that kind of appears in other movies like that too. That's why, like, there's a lot of stuff in his movies that I feel that like the average audience watches and does not find funny. But then, like, you and me and people like that, like, will watch it and be like, oh my god, it's hilarious. Like, Magnolia has that kind of humor in it, too. I mean, everything does, pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway, so...
Django!
These guys go, they all... Django, yeah. Like, just have, like, kind of, like, every time we just wander off, like, oh yeah, what were we talking about again? Just someone says, friends, like...
Django!
No, so, so they're getting around, like, let's get our fucking dicks wet! And all of a sudden, they just all pop out, like... firing everybody. He has the Gatling gun again. They're playing the most happiest, optimistic music. They go in, they get this big sack of gold. They start to retreat. They start to run out. Tell me if you noticed this part, though. This part kind of threw me off, and I still found it funny in a very dark kind of way. they're playing this very optimistic, like, it's a good old fun adventure western movie. And you see this one bandito they're focusing on. He's firing. He gets shot, and he goes down. He's laying there, and the camera holds on him as his eyes are rolling back, and he's breathing hard. And then he just cuts back to the rest of the guys. Yeah, we're running! This music doesn't change. It's just like... It's like one of these
that.
things...
I thought that was kind of weird when it just did that. It was like, oh, okay.
Focuses on the guy dying right here. Like, he's like... I feel cold. And then cut back. Yeah, whoa!
It's just like, oh, that's it for that guy. Keep carrying on. Oh. Well, then they get that gold. They go back to Mudtown again, and then like the bandito leader, he's like, "Okay, Django, here." He's like, "You know what? How about you come to Mexico with me? We're gonna take it on over." Believe me, it worked in Red Dead Redemption. It's gonna work for us. I know it. And we're gonna take this place over. He's like, "Nah, man, just give me half the gold. I got things to do." He's like, "No, you could be my second in command lieutenant." And then the one guy's just standing there like arms crossed like, "Whoa, I thought that was my job." He doesn't say that, but you can just see this look on his face. He's like, "No, it's
Rodrigo, I believe."
Yeah, Rodrigo.
Ricardo.
And then he's like, "No." He's like, I don't want any part of it. Just want half my gold. I'm out of here. You know, it's like he doesn't explain it. He should just like, these are always those moments in movies where it's like, if you just probably told the guy why you can't do it, he'd probably be accepting of it. You know what I mean?
I don't think this guy was just, no, not this guy. This guy was like, "No, man, you're my family. Families stick together."
Yeah, then he gets closer. Oh, it's creepily like, and so on. And
as the Clint Eastwood slide, he's like leaning in with like a big creepy grin.
And then it's just
Josie Wales slide, like on a skateboard kind of motion.
And then it just gets to the point where it's just like, okay, whatever, we'll give you half your gold, you'll be fine, but you have to party with us tonight, and so on. So it's like, here, we'll put the gold in this room. There'll be a security guard on the outside. It's going to be all good. Nobody's going to be touching it. And so on. Like, oh, okay, sure. Let's go back in the bar. Then we'll hang out. We'll hassle the poor pimp in there. And as this is going on, he's like, here, you take, what was her name again?
Maria.
Maria's like, here, take Maria's like, nah, don't want her this time. Which you can just see the look on her face is like, you motherfucker, you're going to throw me back to these guys. Like,
well, that was in the. Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
it's just one of those ones because I think she really is like very clingy to like Django, and Django's just got his mission to do, and so on. But
well, they don't show up. But like before the night, like before I want to, because what actually happens is we mentioned he gets there with the girl, and then all the Confederates come in. I don't think they come in right away. I want to say they come in the next morning, and he has a night with Maria, and then I think he's like, oh, shit, she... Fuck. I mean, I'm the first guy not to hit her, and suddenly I'm like, she wants to marry me, so, god damn it.
She just doesn't know any better. This is the highest thing in life for her. He's like, I knew you should, damn it, Django, take the blanket. Just take the blanket. This is how you got married last time. This is how we got to quicksand. It's just going to happen again. If you just stick with the blanket and go downstairs and sleep with, just sleep with the old pimp guy and just cuddle up next to him. Nothing wrong. It's the 1800s. There ain't nothing gay about it.
He looks like he has a lot of body warmth to go around. And on top of that, it's like, he probably needs the attention.
Because even though he's the pimp to these hookers, none of them let him touch him, actually.
Yeah. No, but go into that for a second. Because then that's where, like, the banditos come in, and she's expecting him to stand in and just be like, hey, you leave her alone, like he was earlier. But he's like, nah, whatever.
He like really brushes it off too. It's like, that's where you kind of wonder like how good of a person Django is. Now granted, everything's geared towards his mission. That's the reason why. But still, he doesn't have like that like good guy charm. He mostly only kind of, it's like he sort of helps people out if it doesn't really go out of his way, but the second that it becomes kind of a problem and it's not towards his goal, it's like, nope, you're not going with me now.
And then what ends up happening is he pulls, there's like this Native American chick he pulls to the side. Well, first off, after Ricardo gets demoted...
Is that the part where they have that cool like fist fight? Because there's a really good like bar fight in that movie.
Yeah, because I was about to say, because this movie has a fantastic bar fight. Not just like, oh, it's good for a Western. It's like a legitimately good fight. Because the thing about most... I like Westerns and I like the action Westerns have. But usually if it's a bar fight, it's let me give you a right hook. Let me give you a left hook. Oh, that'll teach you. Maybe someone gets a stool broken over him. That's that. Because then until someone pulls a gun out on someone else. That's generally what a fist fight is in a Western. But this is like this very long, drawn-out bar fight that is very well choreographed, has a lot of editing, but the editing looks really good. It doesn't look like most, because a lot of that's long. I mean, there are like takes where it's long enough so you can see these guys actually did choreograph a really good fight. But some of the angles and cuts they have look a little bit more modern compared to what most movies you'd see back in the 60s.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is this movie just has, like, I think that's the thing about it. It's like, just the way it's shot and everything is kind of done in the movie, it doesn't feel like, when you hear 1966, like, and you picture other movies of that same time period, it does not match at all with them. It feels like somebody could have lied to you and said this movie was like 1986, and you'd be like, yeah, okay, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. And even the fights, because like they got like kind of tricky, because like, you know, one of them would slam the other, he'd hit something, he'd hold his arm down to the side of the wall, he'd punch him in the kidneys a few times, the guy would swing him, he'd like duck, then he'd grab like a chair, slam with the chair, and that would be like within one or two shots, but it would all like connect really well, and the camera's kind of moving around, kind of giving like the sense of a shaky. Because usually it would just be still, you might kind of pan to the left, might kind of pan to the right, but usually it wouldn't be all over the place like this was. It was all over the place, but you could still tell what was going on. It was a very, really well done like fight scene, which you wouldn't expect to see at this time.
It was a handheld shot too, which was like almost unheard of at that time period. To like, you don't pick the camera off the tripod. What are you, a heathen?
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, though, then he ends up killing Ricardo, and I like how, you know, that's
it's a cool death too, because at first it's like, they grab a gun, and it's like, oh god, here's where it goes, this rifle. And this rifle goes off, and Ricardo falls backwards, and you're like... And at first I was like, was that like a ricochet shot? Was that almost like in like Brad Pitt with the Mexican when they're shooting the bullets up in the air, and that one guy gets shot in the head?
Uh-huh.
But then it's like, I like when he falls back, it's like, oh no, he fell backwards onto a pickaxe, and that's what ended the fight. Which I just think, once again, it's like, you don't expect that, but it's almost like a realistic way that a fight might end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or someone like hits the back of their head on a table or something.
Yeah, and it's like, that's it. That's what got him.
And then he goes up like, all right, I'm going to go hang out with Sacagawea right here upstairs. And they go upstairs, and he's like, oh, it looks like he don't like you, Maria. Too bad. Looks like you're going to hang out with us all night. Oh.
Which you just, the look on her face is just one of those ones like, motherfucker. Like,
they have like two Bandito versions of the two old Muppets men in the corner, like, oh! Looks like he's out there. Everyone getting fucked tonight.
It'd just be like, there's just the poor like bar owner guy's like, I really wish those guys would leave, but they just think this is a retirement community, and I guess I'm their caretaker now, and I just have to be hassled night after night by these guys who don't pay a single dime.
All right, when you're done taking up all that shit up there, come up here, clean my shit. My adult diaper's full. No. Depends. Yeah, you can depend on cleaning my ass for the next 5 years while I'm alive. No!
You always wonder why they call it Mudtown. It ain't mud, I'll tell you that.
They had like Waldorf and Stadolf like in everything. That make house. Just imagine, just have them in the most inappropriate place, like somewhere like in fucking Schindler's List.
Like sitting up on a balcony, just like hassling people as they're coming by. Just hassling the poor Jews as they come into camp.
Hey, got any ribs to spare? Oh! Like just very like horrible, like fucking tasteless jokes.
But Django, he goes to the room and then he just like tells the girl, he's like, start dressing. And she's like, okay. He's like, but don't leave here and don't mind what I'm doing. It's like, he grabs his coffin. This is like the longest, like slowest, like Metal Gear Solid, like fucking dragging of a coffin I've ever seen in a movie. And it's not like it's a bad way, like it's like slow, but it's just like, it's amazing. Like it's like a 5+ minute long scene. Maybe it's might be even like 10 minutes. Oh, maybe not that long, but it goes on for a while. And Django literally slowly drags this thing up the stairs, the coffin. He goes across the balcony. And the whole point of having the girl like undress is she's like on the window. It's distracting all the guys outside. You know, and they're just staring into the window drinking and whatnot while he takes the coffin across the rooftops to go get the gold and everything like that. And what I like about it too is when he finally gets down and it's like goes past this like, 5+ minutes of sneaking around the roof, he puts all the gold in his coffin and whatnot, and they sets up like a Home Alone trap with the Gatling gun face towards the door. And then puts like a dynamite and blows his way out and then starts dragging the coffin out. And this gun just keeps going off automatically as it's just being pulled on by this cord. And of course, I like how the guys like, what was that sound? What's that sound? They just start like running towards the door, like not like they hear a
Like
gun.
lemmings.
Yeah, just like there's like 10 or 15 guys that just end up dying. Like, oh, just like, oh, you know, maybe once the first guy died, that would have been the indication not to go towards that door.
Well, I kind of see where Breaking Bad kind of got an idea for its like final scene of the series.
Oh, that's right, where they had the gun like set up and everything like that. That makes sense.
Of course, shoots through the wall and all that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's totally true right there. And so, and he's running off, and then he like the horses all break loose, and that's part I thought was kind of funny. I like when the horses they just literally run past the Gatling gun. And it's like, oh, I guess horses are immune to Gatling gun bullets.
Like, we deal with this shit all the time.
Yeah, it's just like that just felt like a filmmaker thing. Like you couldn't have them run any other direction. Like did they have to run across the one door that's shooting the Gatling bullets off? And it's not really bothering me, but it's just it seemed kind of that's kind of weird. We're like, well, yeah, we're trying to guide the horses the other direction, but they want to go towards the noise.
Oh, fuck, we only got so much film. Just take it. All right.
But then Django doesn't get very far and so on. And, oh, no, he does actually get far. Maria jumps down. So I want to know how she escaped. Literally, I want to know how she escaped, like, 40, like, gropey hands.
Well, probably they heard the gunshots. They probably got their hands
true,
for the guns and running on the corner. And that's where
There's
she's
not
all
the
like...
one guy who's like, I'm going to stay back and hang out here while everybody's gone.
They didn't look like they all had the best judgment in general. It looked like just like it looked like all their strength was in numbers. That's about it. And then when Django's sneaking away, Maria comes down and is like, "I'm taking you. Like I'm going with you." He's like, "Fuck! I got my own Amy Rose here. All right, you can come."
Just be like, okay, grab your hammer and let's get out of here.
Yeah. Hit one of those Mexicans with a hammer. Oh, fuck. Little Pico hammer's doing not jack shit. So, she's coming by, so then they're escaping, and then at some point he's all like, look, I'm gonna go this way, you gotta go that way. People who stay around me, they die. They die. You're gonna die too. Like, I'm not gonna die. I don't know, right by the quicksand. You know how I feel about quicksand.
I had this conversation with my wife, and I told her that she had to go, and someone's gonna die, and the next thing you know, the quicksand came out of nowhere. And of course, there was that Confederate guy over there shaking the bridge while we were on it like an asshole. And she slipped because, look at it, it's a finicky bridge. It was probably made in 1763.
I mean, granted, I saw it's not that long of a ditch. You probably could have walked around it. It's more of like a little enclosed crater with quicksand. Chances are we could have gone around, but I don't know. Just scenery.
You know what I mean? I thought it was a good place. You know what I mean? Like we were gonna renew our vows out there on the bridge and everything. Seemed like a nice place. And when you're in the desert, you don't got a lot of choice. We got fucking shit town over there. Ain't gonna do it there. Where else am I gonna go?
Like, I just like the idea. He's not being like, you will die now, Django. He just were like, oh, you guys are on the bridge? Woo! Like shaking it just like a dick. And it fell
like,
over.
Dude, stop it. Like, you know, kind of like a friend who kind of goes up when you're standing over a cliff looking down. They like grab you by the shoulders. He's doing that pretty much almost.
Falls in. He's like, oh shit. He just runs away.
Didn't expect that to happen.
I like the idea that that's the way she went. But anyway, he's just like, look, I got my own life. I got my own things to take care of. All of a sudden, the gold goes into the quicksand. He's like, no!
It's like the gun fires off and it makes the horse spook and it jumps and the thing rolls down. And as I said before, it's like that just to me felt like, yes, that's exactly what would happen in like real life. That's where someone might go like, oh, that doesn't seem that like the epic way for that gold to go. I'm like, no. That is 100%. That is a real life problem right there. That is exactly how you lose stuff in real life.
And then she's reaching for him as he's sinking into the quicksand, and then that's where the who is it by this point? Is it? No, it is the banditos come by and they shoot the girl. They pull him out. He's like, all right, where's the gold? Like, oh well, I guess it's just destiny. Gold's the bottom of that quicksand. So if you guys want to go get it, that's where you gotta go. I'm like, oh, we're not gonna kill you, Django. We have an honor amongst other thieves, but we're gonna fuck you up badly. And they whip him a few times, beat the shit out of him, and they have their horses trample his hands.
Well, they have Rodrigo
breaking.
come by with his musket, with his rifle.
Rodrigo's dead. Isn't Rodrigo dead, or is he?
No, okay, not
Ricardo?
Rodrigo.
Is it
Not Ricardo. The other guy who looks kind of like Ricardo. The new
Miguel?
second. I can't remember.
Miguel.
But he takes his rifle and he starts busting both of Django's hands, which is like, well, yeah, he's like the fastest shot around. So of course that's the most important thing to Django in a sense. That's his registered lethal weapon right there. And he busts the hands and everything like that. And then as they take off, all the horses just do like a circle around it, just running over like, Django's hands some more just to break him beyond belief. And then they just run off, laughing and cackling away. And then Django ends up carrying the girl back with his broken hands back to the poor bastard at the bar who's like, God, they're back again. Can't you guys just fucking die?
There's like got back to the Muppet guys like, don't worry, we're still here.
We ain't dying anytime soon. Well, it's like Django comes in, his hands are just like mangled and bloody and just distraught and so on. He's like,
they're pretty much just like bright glossy red gloves.
Yeah, they're just like swollen and everything like that. And he like sets the girl down on the couch and he goes, "You, I know you do every job around here, so you're probably the doctor too. Fix her. I know she can survive if you can do it. You're the man of every talent known to mankind for this town, and you better do it. And I'll give you some cards while I sit here and try to play them with my teeth."
Gotta practice. And I wasn't. Yeah, truth be told, let's just say, since we're having the conversation now, I was not planning on giving you any of that gold for shooting up your bar.
No, that was just guys being guys. You know how it goes, right?
Get a few like shots in you, then you want to just shoot a place up. You know how it goes.
Yeah, when whoever's got the biggest gun, you gotta like whip it out. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're standing in the urinal and you all just kind of whip it out and look at it. Ain't nothing gay about it. It's just, it's a moment kind of locked in. There's no cameras in there or anything like that. It's a safe zone.
It's just, that's not a knife. This is a knife. Same thing, but with cocks.
Yeah, and bullets.
It goes both ways.
And then I like how Django's like, he's like, here, you give him, when the Confederate soldier, I can never remember what that guy's name is, but he's like, when that Confederate leader shows up, you tell him I'll be waiting at the graveyard, okay? I'll be waiting there. Don't you fucking forget that, and heal her and do all this work. Can I have some gold? No, the gold's all in the bottom of the quicksand. Nobody's getting paid. Everybody's just got to work overtime. One of those days.
You get it, right? Well, the other thing is, he was like, I'm not worried about the banditos because they got the federales coming after them. They got to cross the border, and they're just going to get all annihilated once they cross that border.
Which is what happens, too, because the Pharaoh's like, we're going to Mexico, we're going to have a good time, and all of a sudden it's a team up of, like, the Federales and the Confederates. That's the most unlikely team up you'd think of, Mexicans and Confederates working together to take down other Mexicans. And they just, like, annihilate them. They just, like, end there, like, pretty much, like, no contest fight.
I just see the Confederate guy like, look, we don't like Mexicans, but if Mexicans want to kill other Mexicans, well, that's a start.
Yeah, okay. That's a guy you could trust, I tell you what. Someone who kills their own kind.
So from there, what they end up doing is, I'm like, I just can't help but kind of glance at the time, like, oh man, this thing is literally down to the last 5 minutes. How are they going to wrap all this up in the last 5 minutes? And it's pretty clever the way they do it. He's waiting over there at the graveyard for
this is the sad part is
the
Confederate, this poor shop owner, pimp, doctor, mudslinger,
real estate,
old man, real estate guy,
cab driver,
dentist, everything known to mankind, barber. He comes in there, he's like,
proctologist.
It literally looks like he's like closing up shop. Like, you know what? I've had enough of this town. It's just, I sent the ladies home, or I sent them off. Told them, you get out of here. You go. You get out. Live a free life. You don't belong here. And sent them off to go. I'm just gonna burn down the place, collect the insurance check, and I'll be on my way. I'm going to New Jersey. Fuck this place. And then, as he's kind of doing that, there's like 6 Confederate guys walk in, and he's like, oh, I got a message for you. Django said he's going to be at the graveyard. And they just like turn and just look, and then just unload on him. And it's just like, well, there goes that guy's poor existence. That's totally like 60s filmmaking. There's just some people that just get so fucked over, and like there's no like remorse for him. It's just like, yep. Well,
he's not he's just the, he's almost more of like, he has enough character, But he's almost over a plot device there just to help out Django, because nothing good happens for him. You just feel so bad. This guy owes Django nothing, yet he keeps on helping Django out. He says, like, yeah, you know what, I was going to help you guys, because he keeps on going back and forth. Because another example of something similar is kind of like High Plains Drifter, but High Plains Drifter is a movie about a guy who comes in and just destroys this town. He says, I'm going to help you, but in the process, I'm going to destroy this town. And you find out, because the other town people he's supposed to be protecting, they're all shitty people anyway. They're probably worse than the people he's going to protect them from.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's just kind of like this deal with the devil kind of thing, and it's meant to be kind of like a horror movie. So not Django, but
High Plains.
High Plains Drifter, yeah. So, and this kind of goes by the same way. Only the people aren't. Only the guy is shitty. He's just fucking terrorizing this poor guy just because it serves him in the moment. He's just like, look, I had to make it believable, and I could have come back and done the right thing, kind of like Clint Eastwood, and for a few dollars more, and show you that I wasn't a bad guy, but I really like that gold, and I don't. And I did all the work. I know I crashed at your place, but I essentially the other day I just crashed on your couch. I mean, I was the one doing all the killing and stealing all the gold. I mean, come on, I was doing most of the work there.
I also like, we forgot to mention this. It's like at the beginning when he first shows up and meets this bartender guy, and he's like, you got a room for the night? He's like, oh yeah, I got a room. No, wait, we got no vacancies. And then Django just turns and looks at one of the whores and he's like, give me your key. He whips her money, of course, but just like, clearly this guy's not getting me answers. Who else is gonna like fix my problem? I ain't leaving. But then this is actually a really cool like ending scene too. Is that like, okay, Django's there waiting at the graveyard, so the Confederate guys are gonna show up there, and he's got his two just destroyed, broken hands and things like that. And it just shows him for like a while there, just like really trying to like get this gun. He's got it like kind of held up over a cross on the grave, and he's pulling with his teeth. He's pulling the ring part out by the trigger and to get that off, and then he's just having the most hell of a time doing it. And I think by just showing that's almost kind of interesting, because it's just like, think about it, like, try to operate a gun. Probably don't do it with bullets at home, but it's not one of those home experiments, because this is how somebody gets shot in the fucking head, and then they go up. Looks like Kurt Cobain was trying to like commit suicide. Well, no, he was actually trying to reenact the scene in Django.
They just see a VHS of Django on the VCR.
that was all he was trying to do.
This explains it
like,
all.
Hey, Courtney, look, I can do the gun without my hands.
Oh, Kurt. Ba-da-ba-ba-da, bang.
The next thing drops, boom. But yeah, it's like Django's like, I mean, like he's really like trying to get that going. I mean, like, and it's a long, like, I mean, it's probably like a handful of minutes of him trying to get that kind of lined up and going. And then he'll look up at the top of the grave. Nobody showed up yet. Cut back and forth. Got really good pacing editing there. And he finally gets the gun kind of lined up. And, he's going back from being upside down to being like right side up and so on. And then you finally see the Confederates show up, and they're like, come on, Django, just, we'll give you one last request. What do you want to do? You're a dead man. And, he shoots off a couple, like, warning shots and so on right next to him, right at the cross. And Django's still trying to get that gun lined up, but they're so far apart, they probably can't tell what he's doing. And then as it kind of goes on, they fire off a couple more shots, and then, does Django say something finally? I can't remember if he does.
He does say something. I don't remember what it was. It was just one of those things where it was probably cool, but I really don't remember what it was.
One-liner of the 60s. And then he literally just, he takes it, he gets this hand. It's such a cool way he does it. He just starts slapping it with like his mitt, pretty much. Like, so he's putting the trigger back, or putting the cocking mechanism back, and then he's pushing on like the cross for like the trigger to shoot the gun off, and he takes out all 6 of those guys, and it's just like such a cool way. And then he just gets up and totally walks off. Classic 60s 70s type ending to a movie, and it's got this
the theme kicks in as soon as he stands up, and
it's almost like he walks out of the graveyard. It's such a cool shot, and as it kind of like pans backwards, you see the gun just kind of slung over the cross, which I think the cross was almost supposed to be like his wife or somebody. Like, I don't know if it was just any cross. I can't remember.
There was a name on it. I don't remember.
Django doesn't have a last name, so that kind of
didn't say. It didn't say Mrs. Django. If it said Mrs. Django, I don't think we would have known.
What if it said Mrs. Unchained, and it was like, oh,
fuck. It's a connection.
But and it goes off, and it's just got this, like, you know, playing the Django theme, and it's got the gun bloody over that and so on. He's stamped there, just kind of, and he, like, does, like, the looks over his shoulder back at the grave, and then he walks off, and it's like, that's the end of it. Oddly, it doesn't come back around to Maria, so it's like, I don't know if she's just fucking laying there, like, fucking, like, fucking bleeding out, like she's in fucking Terminator 2 there, like Dotson.
Like
or Miles Dyson. You know what I mean? Just think about it. The doctor guy. I don't know. Did he heal her? Or did he not heal her? Did he? You know?
He did. No, they
he?
showed her like it was all she was doing was just hiding behind a couch. She was chilling on the couch, and then he said like doctor guys all like doctor / pimp / driver / real estate agent / gynecologist.
Yeah.
Got up, and he's just like, yo, chill here. I'll talk these boys down. What's up? Bang bang bang. She has this look on her face like, fuck. All right, boys, let's go. Looks over to him, dying. That was a fucking close one, huh?
She's like, well, looks like it's now Miss Real Estate, pimp owner, you know, cab driver, space engineer, tall tales expert,
caterer,
Gatorade mixer. You know, it's just there's a lot of jobs to go around.
This town needs.
You know, so she just gets to that point, but it doesn't.
Barista.
But what I like is it has like the classic ending where it's just like the movie's over and it literally there's no extra endings. It's just like that's what I love about 60s and 70s movies. I just like the movie's done, boom. Since it's an Italian movie, there's no credits. It just says Finn, and it's like get the fuck out of the theater.
What do you expect? This Marvel Stinger shit? Fuck you.
You have to wait till 87 for that shit. I'm really interested though to see that Django, like the actual sequel, like the Django Strikes Back. That just sounds cool, especially since it's got the same guy in it and the same like director.
Well, just looking at the poster of it, it just looks like almost post-apocalyptic. I mean, if you glance at it, I guess you can say because when I look at it here, it looks like Western attire, but then there's like this African lady and this whole like chain bikini behind him with a whip, and there's the steamboat behind him. And his clothing looks like it's when you look at it, it looks like a poncho, but it can be like construed into being something kind of sci-fi-ish, you know?
Huh. That just sounds kind of cool in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I got a feeling maybe you saw like Mad Max. Like, I got an idea for the next one.
Well, it kind of
and
makes sense.
He's holding a sawed-off shotgun.
Huh, I want to pull that up because that's just sounding totally awesome. Okay, 1987,
Django 2 Strikes Back.
Oh my God, yes it does. Jesus Christ, it looks like he's almost got like a minigun, like Jesse Ventura and Predator. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. It's like a still of the movie?
Oh yeah, well it's just right next to the
Right
poster on IMDb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I see the poster though too. Yeah, there is like it literally almost has like that Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome look.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So that almost to me almost looks like cool, just like in a completely other way. I mean, I guess it actually has a different director. I thought it had the same director. Maybe it just had. I think he maybe produced it or something because he was probably pretty old by that point. His last movie was in 1991. What's his name? Sergio.
That's the only official sequel.
Yeah, because it seems like all the other movies that have Django in the title either were knockoffs, or they just whipped Django on there to help sell it.
But yeah, I want to check that one out after seeing this. I mean, when I first saw the poster, I'm like, oh wow, that looks different. Is that the same thing, really? But then, yeah, it looks cool. So yeah.
Well, here's the tagline for it. It just says, a gunfighter turned monk returns to his former life when his estranged daughter is kidnapped by a Hungarian slaver.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like one of those ones, like, I feel like I'm very sold on that movie right there.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
So
maybe we can do another retrospect down the line.
I think so.
Because lately, there's a point where we just did retrospects on things we knew, but now just like, let's go in and see if we like this thing. And chances are, luckily, all the retrospects we've been doing, I've been liking all the movies we've been seeing.
Well, I just think it's one of those ones. It's kind of fun because, there's always those movies. No matter how many movies you watch in life, there's always going to be still movies you've never seen. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? Unless you're maybe Leonard Maltin, you haven't seen them all. That's about the only person who's probably damn close to seeing them all. But other than that, it's one of those ones where it's like, it's kind of fun just for these movies that you've heard about and you know about, and it's like, you know what? I could just go watch this, but why not let's do a retrospect on it? And it's like, that's kind of fun in itself, because sometimes you go in there with a fresh take and everything like that. It's cool when you've already kind of know about a movie, but it's just I'll even say this, even if we got to a movie that was just maybe like, okay, it would still make for something fun to talk about anyways, just because it's like, hey, well, at least we wanted to watch this movie and see what happened.
Yeah. Now, I thought... I really enjoyed this one. I'm glad we checked it out. I'm not going to lie, when going into it, I'm like, it's probably going to be fun. I'm probably going to enjoy watching it, but I didn't really have, like, not saying I had low expectations, but I went in pretty neutral, just expecting just to like it. But I'm glad I ended up loving this movie. So, and I want to check out that next one now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it like being definitely, like, one of the better Western movies I've probably ever seen. I mean, I only watched it once, so I'm not going to put it, like, in my top 10 yet, but I would definitely say it's, like, up there, like, top 25 for sure.
I know this movie definitely, because not going to lie, there's this period where, I mean, I guess it still kind of pushed my inspiration for, like, writing genre stuff in a particular direction. But seeing, like, things like, Fistful of Dollars and other Westerns, and this isn't a spaghetti Western, but things like Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid, that kind of thing, that really kind of, like, got me interested in Westerns and a lot of that. I mean, I'm not going to lie, there's that point when you first see something when you're a little younger and you try to make something homage it so badly, you kind of cringe when you look back at that. Uh-huh. I'm thinking back, like, there probably would have been a character in something I wrote that had, like, a gun, like a machine gun inside of a coffin or something like that.
Oh, yeah, totally. If this is one of those movies we would have watched in high school, we would have been making a fucking Django movie at that time period. God knows what it would have been, we would have, for sure. It definitely had... Well, because I think the thing about it is, like, it has, like, a feel like because it's got that little bit lower budget. As the movie kind of goes on, it feels like it gets bigger. When it first started out, there's, like, no horses or no nothing like that. I'm like, oh my god, that's kind of ballsy movie. There's, like, nothing going on. And the horses don't really come in until, like, a third into the movie. So it's like, I was thinking it was, like, a really low budget movie at first, and then it kind of picks up as it goes on. But, no, it's overall super awesome. And one more quick little factoid I thought was kind of neat is apparently Jack Nicholson was trying to buy the rights for it in the 60s. For the U.S. distribution, and somehow, someway wasn't able to get it.
Oh, man, poor Jack. Well, he was looking out for us. He was trying to get the thing out there for us.
Yeah, because he just thought that... Well, because they screened it somewhere, and, like, I think when Franco Nero was doing a movie in Hollywood, he had that one screened a handful of times, so, all the big guys, Paul Newman and Steve McQueen and so on were all out there watching it and being like, oh, dude, this is sick, you know what I mean? Even Sergio Leone, too, he also gave this movie, like, 2 thumbs and so on. Like, he really digged it.
I just like to imagine Jack Nicholson in the theater, always with the sunglasses on, always that Joker smile, that Rick Dislike grin. Like, I like this movie, yeah, this is a great movie. Like, he just always has that super teethy, where's Johnny / Joker grin.
Yeah, exactly. One of those things like that. But
it's like, this is me when I'm happy and mad. And I'm telling you right now, I'm very happy I saw this movie.
But, yeah, this is one of those films that, like, assuming that probably, like many of you, probably have never seen this original Django, 1966, unless, I guess, you think you like Westerns more than we do. But other than that, though, it's definitely worth checking out. Go out of your way to find this movie, because it's awesome. We'll put a little link in, like, the comment section or the description section with hopefully there'll be a nice special edition copy off Amazon or something. That'd be really cool. Get a good copy of that Blu-ray. And, yeah, definitely watch Django. It's totally awesome.
Yep. I can't recommend it more.
But till then, make sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comics, animations, videos, and more. And I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Be sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comics, animations, videos, and a whole lot more. You can easily support the show by buying something from one of our Amazon links on the website or in the show's description itself. Doesn't cost you a penny, but every single thing you buy from there just by using that link to take you to Amazon helps us out a bit. You can also really help the show out, though, by spreading the word the good old-fashioned way and rate and review us on all the sites that you find this podcast. Anything from iTunes to Podbean to Newgrounds, YouTube, you name it. Any little bit helps. Give a sub and share it to your friends, family, any jamoke you see out on the street. You let them know about Old Man Orange Podcast. And be sure to check out the Old Man Orange comic book Pizza Boys on both Amazon and Comixology. Till then, we'll see you some other time.